Well, tell us about your two other endangered species books. Wolf Path is about the reintroduction of the Mexican wolf.
Well, actually, there were three. Raptor, which was about the Arctic gerfalcon, and that one she gets to go to Montana because the poaching of falcons is really endangering some of the species of falcons. And then
Parrot Blues.
Yeah, and Wolf Path, which is about the attempt to reintroduce the wolf to the Southwest. And Parrot Blues, because there were parrots in southeastern Arizona in that Cave Creek portal area. And it's not known whether they actually nested there or they just flew over the border and spent part of their year there, summered in Cave Creek or something. But when that became mining country, a lot of the parrots were eaten. They used to load up the backs of wagons full of parrots and take them up to the mining camps and eat them because they're very easy to catch, and apparently they're kind of tasty.
Like chicken?
I don't know that. I
you haven't eaten a parrot.
But there are certain parrots, like the macaws, are supposed to be good eating, and of course they're big, beautiful birds, and they in Latin America, so they are still caught and eaten. But anyway, there has been an attempt to reintroduce the thick-billed parrot to the Portal area. Unfortunately, it hasn't been too successful because they need a flock. That's their only protection, is if there are enough of them that they can fly as one, and a hawk can't pick one out of the mass. But the idea for this came from the fact that they were being smuggled across the border, and someone with the Fish and Wildlife Service was taking these smuggled birds and trying to figure out what are we going to do with them, and that's where the idea to reintroduce them came about.
What is the program? When you came to sign Parrot Blues for us, if you remember, we had the signing at the Phoenix Zoo, and they have as part of their Arizona exhibit, they had put together not only the wolf that you had written about in Wolf Path, but a parrot exhibit. So we had the signing in conjunction with both of those so people could go visit them. But it wasn't the same parrot that you were writing about in the book, was it?
The thick-billed.
It was the thick-bill. But was there another? What is that? I'm trying to remember. There was a macaw or something. Was that in the book or in the zoo?
Well, in the book there was the indigo macaw, which is the bird that's kidnapped. The man has a pair of indigo macaws, which came from South America, and one of them is kidnapped. That bird was not. The macaws were never indigenous to North America, but they used to trade a lot. The Indians would trade back and forth with Central and South America, and bird feathers and macaw feathers were highly prized. And one of the interesting sidelights that came out of writing that book is I got so I could identify the different macaws and the different feathers. And I go to the Pueblo ceremonials now, and they're all wearing macaw feathers, and I could tell which macaw they came from. I never would have noticed this before I'd written the book. So that kind of trade has been going on for a long time. And macaw skeletons have been found in Chaco Canyon, and so they may have actually been breeding them in this country. But they initially came up from Latin America.
It was astounding to me how valuable some of those birds are. I mean, what a lucrative smuggling trade that turns out to be. Of course, you brought that out in Raptor, too, when it was the Arab that was interested in the falcon. But how much some of these species are worth on the open market? I mean, it's like diamonds or emeralds or whatever.
Yeah, it is.
I thought that was fascinating. The wolf was not the same thing. You didn't have the pecuniary interest in the wolf. I mean, it wasn't smuggling him in for profit.
No.
And there is a fairly active wolf society here in Arizona that we spent time with.
PAWS, Preserve Arizona's Wolves.
Preserve Arizona Wolves Society, is that what it is? Yeah, because I remember they came to your book signing, and you've spent some time.
Yeah, I got very involved with all those, not so much with the parrot people, but especially with the wolf reintroduction people.
Yeah, because I remember we went to a dinner at the Sheraton when it was the Sheraton for the PAWS group, and didn't they auction off a couple of, I think there was one of your books.
They auctioned off some of my books.
Was auctioned and so forth as a fundraiser for that.
That's kind of one of the another fringe benefit. What I do is people are so wonderful. And I've really enjoyed getting involved with them.
Well, the kind of books you write do involve some fairly complicated research.
Yeah.
And I sometimes have thought, just from knowing you, that you enjoy the research every bit as much as the writing. Is that a fair?
It's a nice break. You get tired of sitting around your house and staring at the computer all the time. And it's a good excuse. I can get out and tell myself I'm working.
And you've come over here to do quite a bit of it, because Lies That Bind actually has a fairly large retail. That was your drawing on your your real estate experience.
Yeah, the lies of mine was about the savings and loan fraud, and like everybody else, I kept hearing about savings and loan fraud and
in Arizona.
Well, yeah, but just the huge sums of money that were involved, right. and what it was going to cost each of us, and I didn't know what it was all about, so I just said, well, I'm going to figure out, read and study up and what is all the savings and loan fraud about. And so as I began reading about it, I realized that you have much more colorful savings and loan fraud in Arizona than we did in New Mexico.
Maybe the only thing more colorful we do in Arizona than
Well,
New Mexico.
you did that very well. With a lot of style, and it made us pretty paltry in comparison, so I had to come over here and do some research and set some of the book over here.
Well, it's neat that your books have really contemporary, not only contemporary, but perhaps even futuristic themes. And, but they are, for people who think that mysteries, are something like a British village or something that doesn't have any relevance to modern life, if they were to read your books, they'd have a real surprise, because the issues you deal with are very current and certainly part of the everyday fabric of our lives.
They're always inspired either by a particular crime or a particular situation or environmental issue. Sometimes I've actually based them on a crime and gone on from there. And one thing about New Mexico is we have plenty of crime, so I'm never going to run out of ideas, and lots of kind of interesting and bizarre crimes there too. New Mexicans are very creative.
They are creative.
In everything that they do.
And you do have some bizarre things in them. Nothing, in my view, is more bizarre than your bit with the Jell-O shots. And I see that they have vanished from Hot Shots, but I want to discuss with you once more the Jell-O shot, because I've always thought no one could ever possibly get me to drink one. Neil has this
penchant. Well, you
don't
exactly drink them. You have to kind of slurp them.
Slurp them.
Okay, Jell-O shots are a mixture of Jell-O and an appropriate liqueur. Now, you can come up with all different kinds of combinations, such as maybe vodka and raspberry, or orange and Cointreau, or something orange flavor. But Neil, because she likes tequila, she makes margarita shots with lime Jell-O, and here's the way you do it. Get a package of lime Jell-O, a cup of hot water, as the recipe says, and then a cup of cold tequila. Now, if Neil wants to be sort of a gourmet Jell-O shot, she throws in a splash of triple sec and floats slices of lime on the top. And this recipe was printed. Somebody in Philadelphia did a cookbook of recipes from mystery writers. Mm-hmm. And one of my fans came to, I had this wonderful signing at Page One at Independent Bookstore in Albuquerque, my first signing, and for this book. And somebody came, they had printed one of these up, like in a poster with artwork and gold trim and all this kind of stuff.
A recipe card?
Neil's recipe for Jell-O shots. And this person told me that, and Jell-O shots are served. I mean, I'm sure you can find them in Phoenix and Scottsdale.
Oh, undoubtedly.
Bars have them. I've been to lawyers' mixers where they serve them in little paper cups, and it's very hard to get them out of the paper cup, what the etiquette is.
Do you do it with a spoon, or you just sort of slurp the whole thing down?
Or, work it out with your finger or something. If you let them sit long enough, they become sort of liquid, and you can actually drink them. But this guy who brought me the recipe, he told me that they're egg molds, and people make them in egg molds. You can go around like you're sucking on an egg. And when I had this signing at Page One, they made Jell-O shots. Let this be an inspiration for you, Barbara. They made Jell-O shots in about 5 different flavors, and some of them were version shots that didn't have any alcohol in them. And they didn't want to send people out on the road drunk. But this is signing. They get a really good turnout there, and there was a thunder and lightning storm going on, and the electricity went off. And so they didn't want people just wandering around the store, but they let people in for the signing. So I did the signing in the dark, and everybody's slurping on their Jell-O shots. And I was reading from the book, and someone stood over the back of me with a flashlight and shone it on the page so I could read. And then the people started asking questions, and all these voices were kind of coming out of the darkness. It was wonderful for a mystery writer, and it had a very intimate feeling to it.
Oh, absolutely great. Well, we do get power failures in Scottsdale with frequency, so at least I'll know what to do. You've made a good point about the flashlight.
Yes, good to keep on.
Yeah, I was thinking a candle, maybe.
A candle probably would have been more atmospheric, but they came up with a flashlight.
Well, the Jell-O shot has made its mark on me, and I noticed that nobody was drinking them in Hot Shots, so I thought maybe you'd moved on to some other recreational substance.
No, I just didn't think of it, and I just didn't have an appropriate occasion for it.
So you're now settled, although you are from New England. You are now permanently settled in the Southwest? Mm-hmm. You bought yourself an adobe, a real Albuquerque
renovated adobe.